Hello.
Hey, Dave, what's going
Hey.
on, buddy?
Hi, Kenny.
Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I was in the middle of doing some recording here. Hey, what's going on, buddy?
That's all right. Just another day,
Another day and another dollar after IRS.
another day, and another dollar spent.
Yes, sir. So, how's your day been?
It's been pretty good. I got a lot done. I actually got to my guitar tech guy and got my guitar set up again. So that was my most fun thing to do today. And then taking the car in to get the inspected and running around and doing that kind of crap.
What about getting everything packed up for ready to go out of town?
Yeah, I'm getting my ducks in a row. Yeah.
So, well, as much as you've done it in your lifetime, it probably doesn't take you very long to get your ducks in a row, does it? When it comes to packing.
Well, it depends though, because I have a family and a house and a dog. You know what I mean? So it's not that stuff like packing for a trip or something, or getting ready, or just saying and and all that stuff. That it's all the other stuff that I gotta do. You know what I mean? That's a part of life. That's more. And it's funny. My wife comes home and says, what did you do today?" Like as if it was I didn't do anything, but in fact I was shot out of a cannon the minute I woke up this morning.
Isn't it always like that? You feel like you've been running all day. You're working hard, and they come home. They look at your progress, and they're like, "Oh,
what did you do today?"
It doesn't look like you accomplished anything today, does it? That's crazy.
That's kind of how it feels, man.
So how long have you and your wife been married?
Let's see, 2006, 2012, 12 years coming up here.
I almost got you in trouble there if you gave me the wrong day. 12 years.
No. I know. Yeah, I know that. I know. It was July 2nd, 2006. I know that. I just had to calculate the number of years here. For a second.
How many kiddos do you guys have?
We got just the one kiddo. I came to having the little kinders there a little late in life. And I was pretty scared too when I found out that I was going to be a father. But it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah, like I said, it kind of keeps you young, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it's like, I remember too, everybody likes babies, right? Babies are great, but I couldn't wait till he could talk. And man, did he start talking. He was about, I think 13, months old, and the sentences were coming out already. It's crazy, man.
Does your family travel with you a bunch?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, they have. They've come to. They've come to a bunch of shows. It depends on what it is, and where. And my wife, she's got a job too. My son's got school, so it does depend. But they've been to a bunch of shows that I've done. They've been to a lot of Survivor shows.
So how does your wife deal with you being gone on the road?
Well, you know what they miss about me? Who's doing the laundry, man? How's that garbage getting out? How come there's dishes in the sink?
Now are you a cook? Since you I guess I'm not gonna...
No. I can make basic stuff. Yeah, I can, and you know what? I'm a pretty good grill guy. Like a typical male thing. I'm pretty good on the grill. Yeah, I got that figured out pretty well. So if she says here, cook this, I will cook it, and it will not be burned up and turned into a hockey puck. So I got that going.
Well, me and my wife, we share cooking duties, and just so you know, you saved me from cooking tonight.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that, Ken.
Well, I made some chicken last night. We got this really cool thing that we bought a few years ago. It's a charbroil, big and easy. It's one of those oilless fryers. And man, we cook a lot of stuff in it. We had a couple of chickens we put in there last night. And so I had the great idea. One of my specialties is chicken and dumplings. And so I was going to make the chicken and dumplings with the leftover chicken tonight.
Yeah. What's not to like?
And she said I'll tackle it. So she's taking care of that tonight.
All right, let her take up the slack tonight. Let the wife take it up tonight. Awesome.
I'll tell you what kind of woman I'm married to. The other day I told you I talked to you the other day, and I told you I was sick over the weekend, and
Yeah.
pretty much spent Saturday just sleeping the day away. So I get up. It's probably about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm looking for my wife, and I can't find her. And I'm hollering for her, and I walk outside. She's out in the front yard washing both of our vehicles. And I thought,
Well, that is exceptional kind of a woman you got there.
that's a good woman, man. So
holy crap!
yeah, and I got a big
Yeah.
truck, so it's not like it's not like a little bitty Volkswagen. This is like a monster truck, that she's having to. And she's about all of 5 foot tall. So
Big ass pickup truck there.
she has to, she had to work a little bit to do it, but that's just the kind of woman I got. I'm very lucky, man. So
That's true, because I love my wife, but man, she's never gonna wash my car.
so tell us about your
Never.
Tell us about your early days in music, and I was listening to some of your stuff from Jamestown Massacre.
Oh yeah, man, I was just a little kid then. Yeah, I mean, this is a cliche, I know, but it's absolutely true. I was 11 years old, and the Beatles were starting to come on the radio, and so they were coming on. I knew they were coming to Ed Sullivan, and so we had this rec room downstairs, like a split level house in Naperville, Illinois, the suburb of Chicago. And me and my dad, because we used to watch Ed Sullivan all the time, but my dad was not prepared for the Beatles,
Yeah.
He's looking at that like, what the hell is this? And I was like struck by lightning. I was like, oh my God, I've never seen anything cooler than the Beatles. And the sound, the exotic music, I mean, I know it sounds, the early stuff seems, it's kind of simple love songs and stuff, but it was still so revolutionary, the sound of it, and that they played their own instruments, and they wrote their own songs and all that stuff. I was just smitten by it, and that was it. That's all I wanted to do. And my dad was real reluctant because his brother Hank, my uncle Hank, he'd been a jazz musician. So my dad was like, you can't go in the music business. No. but they relented eventually, and they bought me a Shure microphone, because they knew it was inevitable. And then, a little later on, it was the Jamestown Massacre, that was like a first really organized band I was in. There was like a manager, we had equipment, we had guys moving the stuff, and all that. And we had that record. It's a long story about that, but it was lucky because Mark Zapel, the bass player's dad, worked for J. Walter Thompson, and he heard me sing, and he hooked me up with a jingle producer. So that's how I got into doing commercials, in Chicago. And I was like 19 years old, and I was doing, jingles. And then all of a sudden there's checks come in the mail because, they actually pay you for that stuff.
Right.
It's organized and it's real, and they, you sing and they have residuals and it comes. And my dad's like, wait a minute, hold it. This might be okay. So, they started to support me and all that.
So how did you come about getting into Survivor?
Well, that jingles brought me to that too, because Jim Peterick, who had Ides of March, and that he had a couple of hits, I guess, with that band, and then they broke up, and he was singing jingles in Chicago too, so I was singing commercials with him, and he had a solo thing going on, the Chi-Town Hustlers, which was the band that he used was the top session guys, in Chicago, the guys, like Gary Smith and Dennis Johnson, who were actually for Survivor. When I go and do a jingle, they'd play the jingle stuff, and it was real pretty pedestrian stuff. And in between, those guys would just start jamming, and it was like crazy. It was like nuts stuff, and I'm like, wow. It was a real eye opener as far as musicianship goes. So that was the core of the band. Gary Smith and Dennis Johnson and Jim Peterick, and then he knew about Frankie Sullivan, and he recruited him in, and then he asked me, said, would you like to join his band? And I said, well, yeah. I mean, I was always ready to take on a new challenge, and look for, a new, challenge and step up and play with, better guys and better people. You always learn from playing with people that are better than you are. So That's how that started, and all we started, all original music. That was, it was great, and I thought that was amazing. And we, formed Survivor and made a demo and put it out and waited around for 6 months, and nothing happened. Didn't hear a word, at first.
So is it kind of frustrating as a band? You're playing music and you think you're good. You playing the kind of music you like to hear, pretty much. I mean, you're putting your influence into your music. Is it disappointing or disheartening that other people just don't get what you're trying to do?
Well, sure it is. I mean, of course you want people to accept it, and it's always hard. You can be really good, and there's a lot of elements that have to fall into place, for that to happen. And you got to get a little lucky too, be in the right place at the right time with the music that is sort of the music that people want to hear at the time, and so we were fortunate that way, and and really good players, and and the songwriting was real good. And so finally we did get we got the offers started coming in, and we ended up signing with Scotty Brothers, which at that time was distributed by Atlantic, and that brought John Klodner into our lives. So it was he's quite a unique character. He was behind A&R guy for Atlantic and then Epic later, but Aerosmith and Foreigner and bands. He was responsible to a certain degree to bringing those guys into the labels and stuff.
So what was it? How did the meeting come about where you were approached by the Rocky soundtrack people, or who was it? How did that come about with the song?
Yeah, there's a lot of stories about that. I didn't get the phone call, but I do know this. I know that Tony Scotti was friends with Sylvester Stallone, and that by that we'd recorded 2 albums on Scotti Brothers by that time, and neither one of them were commercial success. I mean, I thought there was some good stuff on that. Especially Premonition was I think we were really starting to get into our stride with that record, and that's what he played for him. He played the Premonition on our second record for Sylvester Stallone. He said, "I like these guys. Can you have them write me a song? For the opening thing, and I'll send him some film." And he did. So those guys, closeted themselves away for a couple of days and came up with Eye of the Tiger. And we went into the studio to demo it in Chicago at CRC, Chicago Recording Company. And I'd never heard any of it before. They'd been working on it, and they came into the studio. Everybody came in. None of the guys in the band had heard the song. And we just, put that together in the studio that night and made the demo. And that's what we sent off to Sylvester Stallone and the Chartoff and Winkler, I think, were the producers of that movie. But he liked it right away. He liked it right away. And wow, talk about great promotion, for your record.
How exciting was
the opening scene? The opening scene of Rocky III.
How exciting was that to be at the movies and hear your song being played? That had to be a thrill.
Yeah, I went to the theater and watched the movie, and people gave a standing O for the beginning of the movie. I'm just sitting there going, "Wow, man, this has got to be good." So, and it yeah.
Did it change much for you guys afterwards?
Yeah. We went. We'd done some touring and stuff. We played the college circuit, and we'd done some stuff like that in the Agoras. Playing some of the bigger clubs and stuff. And when we were doing on Premonition, but when Eye of the Tiger, when that happened, then we went out on the big arena tour. That's what we did. We were ready to do that though. We'd all been playing a long time by that point. I was like 27 years old, 28 years old, and so it was great. It's like, all right, Now
ready to go. Were y'all an opening act, or were y'all a headlining?
Yeah, act? we were an opening act. Yeah, that's what always happens to you. I mean, you got to hit record, right? But we were opening for REO Speedwagon and Triumph and Kansas. We got a bunch of gigs with Kansas. You know, established acts. You know, but you know they were happy to have us on the tour because we brought in a lot of people to the show. So they'd sell out because we were there.
So what was the music scene like back then? Traveling around and the fans and.
It was drug infested. It was like crazy, you know. I mean, you know, it was nuts. It was, you know, very exciting, you know. But you know, then of course, you know, in the midst of that tour, it turned out that I had a polyp on my vocal cord, so I had to go get surgery right in the middle of that whole thing, which kind of dampened my enthusiasm for a while. You know what I mean?
So okay, so I got to ask you this: what was the you were really known for wearing the beret? So how did that come into existence?
I don't know. I just saw that beret someplace and started wearing it, and then I couldn't not wear it. After that,
kind of became like
a
your
signature
trademark
thing with me. Yeah, it did, and I still have it, by the way.
Do you really?
I do.
Do you still wear it from time to time?
I don't. I plan to someday. Some show I'm gonna wear the beret just to, you know, freak everybody out. But I'm saving that for something special.
So how has music changed for you in you know the past few decades as to where you started and where you are now?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I you know, you influenced by other artists, you know, and I got really influenced as far as vocalists and stuff go. I got really influenced by, you know, when Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and those bands came out. I really liked, you know, Chris Cornell and Eddie Vedder. You know, not the kind of singers that, you know, what I was known for was that, you know, tenor thing, you know, that sort of high pure tenor. But I also have that edge in my voice, and the band didn't like that too much when that would evidence itself when I was singing. But I kind of liked it, and so, you know, the new music I have, you can hear that for sure. And you know, I'm always influenced by, you know, people ask you what kind of music do I like, and I just say I like good music, you know.
So you said the Beatles were influenced. Was it influence when you growing up? What other artists influenced you?
Well, Jimi Hendrix, you know, and the Who, and Led Zeppelin. You know, I mean, the thing about that era, like the late '60s and '70s, in the '60s and '70s, was that you certainly knew who you were listening to, you know, when you heard their music. It was so distinctive. Each band was very distinctive. Sometimes now it can be a little hard to tell sometimes because they get polished up so much.
Well, you know, I noticed, like, when you watch The Voice or you watch American Idol, a lot of those singers seem to sound the same. There's not a lot of distinction in the voice.
That's true, and I wonder why that is. You know, I guess it's, you know, because I consciously want to sound like you want to sound like that thing, but I kind of miss that diversity, you know, where you can really tell. And, you know, see, when you think of a great singer, you know, you know, Steve Perry, right? I mean, the guy's just towering, you know, vocalist, and but also I love Neil Young, you know, and he doesn't have a traditional voice that you would say, oh, he's you know, it's operatic or anything, you know. But it's great. Everything he sings, you know, you listen to.
It's very unique.
It's riveting, you know.
Well, that's like Stevie Nicks. When you hear Stevie Nicks sing, you know it's Stevie Nicks. You know, it's just a very distinct voice.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's something about the music of our time. And I was talking to my wife about that the other day. I missed, you know, we were just sitting there listening to the radio on the way to somewhere the other day, and I was telling her, you know, I really miss the music of our time. It's just not music. And not to say there's not some good artists out there nowadays, because there's a few good artists out there that are really good.
Oh, sure.
And every once in a while you'll happen across one of them, but it's our music of our time, and maybe I'm just biased, but 70s and 80s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, that's the time frame I grew up in. And That's to me, that's always
Yeah.
gonna be the best music.
Yeah, I always say, people ask me, I always say this though too. You know, they were really searching for something, unique and different, and they created that, that rock and roll music out of nothing. You know, I mean, it came out of, it came out of course, it came out of the blues and what came before it. But like a band like Led Zeppelin. I remember the first time I heard that record with headphones on, I was like, what the hell is this? It was just so crazy, with all the, slapback echoes going back and forth, and just amazing, and it was so heavy, and it was just so different from anything else. It was really creative.
Well, that's to think of the band that we were listening to was ELO, and up until that point,
Well,
there's I didn't think
Zeppelin, yeah.
there's not a band that has ever existed like ELO that had all the components like they did with Jeff Lynne and the voice he had, and I mean, it was just a great sound for the time. And I thought
Absolutely, I totally agree.
Yeah,
Totally agree. And then of course he went on to do the Traveling Wilburys, with Roy Orbison and Tom
George
Petty,
Harrison and all that. Yeah,
George Harrison.
I mean, goodness gracious, man, the guy was he's a talent, and so yeah, it's exciting to listen to some of those songs, and those songs always take you back to when you were younger. Of course, I grew up listening to a lot of R&B too, because I was big into the Commodores and Stylistics and all that kind of stuff. So, very diverse.
Yeah, sure.
Very diverse. So tell us about the new album. You're talking about some of that darker side of your voice. There was a track on there, and it's not The Sky Is Falling. There's another track on there that's kind of got that dark edge to it, and I can't think of the title of it right now, but I thought that was a really neat song. But like I said, the title escapes me. But it's kind of one of your
there's I don't know, there's Fear of the Dark, and
I think
there's
it was
Time.
I think it was Fear of the Dark. Fear of the Dark's kind of
It's Fear of the Dark. That's like my wife's favorite song on the record, which I found it kind of astonishing, because I always thought that was, that sounds like an album cut to me, but it was a lot of fun creating it, and we didn't feel bound to make it try to be a pop song or anything like that. So I like that one a lot too. I really do.
It's kind of got an edge to it. I really
like
that.
I like all the elements. I like the elements in it. Yeah.
No, I thought the whole album was really tight, and I was telling you a couple of songs I really liked, and one of the songs, "Always You." I kind of wanted to know the story behind that song, because it sounded like it was either some kind of religious overtone, or maybe your mom or someone was whispering in your ear. I didn't.
Well,
know.
you know what it is. It's you're very warm. It's really about yours or my or anyone's conscience. That's what it always is about. The battle you have with your conscience about if you might have you've done something that you know is questionable, in your life, and to wrestle with it. That's really what it's about. That's what the song's about.
Like I said, some of those lyrics really stick to you, and I think the reason that one does so much is because I had a mom that was in my ear pretty much my whole life, and until
well, yeah, your mom is your conscience, man. Yeah, that's for sure.
Pretty much. Little 5-foot Napoleon, man. She was.
Oh yeah.
She was a toughie. And then the song "Hope." You was telling me about this song that you were more than likely going to lead off with. It's a really good song as well. And what's the story behind that song?
Yeah, the "Hope" was actually, that was my 9/11 song. I mean, that one's been it was hanging about for quite a while. That song, but it was after 9/11. But I think it's kind of a now in retrospect, to me, it's like a kind of a universal, desire for hope in your life, and that I think we all need that. You need to have hope. You really do. Because otherwise it's despair is the the other side of that coin. So that's what it was about. And about that hope and love can override evil. In people's hearts.
Well, I think in it hope that keeps us getting up every day, giving us something to look forward to. Hoping.
For sure, man. And that isn't that it, man? Getting up every day and have something to hope for, something to, to accomplish, to do something. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was telling you that I think my favorite song that I heard on this album and it's because, like I said, I'm a sucker for a good ballad, because you just don't hear those ballads like that every day. we grew up in a time where the music philosophy was throw a ballad out there, throw a hard rock song, a ballad, hard rock, and
Yeah.
I heard some good ones, growing up, and but the Angel Heart was a really, really good song, I thought.
Yeah, thanks. I really love that song. I really do. And yeah, there's a story behind that song. The song I wrote that song about my son, and it was my wife actually who wrote down. She it was kind of more poetry than song lyrics. But some stuff about Angel Heart, and I thought it caught my eye and I picked it up. She was talking about my son Luke, and what had happened is he was like 7 years old, and he got up and in the middle of the night, and I'd fallen asleep on the couch. So he comes down and says, "Dad, I'm hungry." So I put on cartoons, which was what was it? Nickelodeon, Nick at Night or whatever. What I didn't know was that at midnight it switched over to Adult Swim, which is like this really crazy, zombie brain-eating cartoons that were not appropriate for a 7-year-old, and it freaked him out for like a long time. He couldn't turn the light. After seeing that, I went out of the room and came back, and he was petrified, and he had trouble sleeping and turning off the lights for like a year after that. So, little Angel Heart asleep in the light and all that's all about him.
Wow, that's crazy, man. It's amazing how that stuff just sticks in your brain and gives you, just inspiration. You never know where inspiration is going to come from. That's what's really cool.
Yeah, that's true. I try to be open to that, and you never know where it's going to come from, right? You never know, something in life, that will, and I do try to write songs about things like that mean something to me, not, just something nonsensical. I really try to write lyrics that have meaning for me, and I think if they have meaning for you as a songwriter, I think that it comes across to people and evokes emotions,
right.
and feelings in people, which is what your job is, right?
Yes, sir. I believe that too. I believe you can impart more feelings with something that you've written that comes from your heart than somebody else's music that you're singing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do believe that. All right, Dave, I got to ask you a question that I'm going to ask each and every artist every week. And it's not a hard question, and it's the title of our show, If Not for Music. And the question is, if not for music, what is it that you would be doing right now? Or what is it that you would have been doing instead of music?
I would probably think that's something to do with like science or something, because that's another sort of love of mine and a hobby, and I sort of caught on to that when I was in grade school with my fourth grade teacher. She turned me on to how cool science can be. So that I read a lot of books like that for that's my recreation. So I would probably like to think that that's what I would be doing if I wasn't a musician.
That's pretty cool. Because I know you wasn't going to say cooking, because we done discovered you're not a big cook. You're not going to be a chef.
Hey, I can do a crock pot, man.
Hey. Well, I tell you what, Dave. Next time you're in Fort Worth, you've got to promise me you'll look me up so I can take you for some of our barbecue here in Fort Worth.
Oh, I promise you I will. I promise you I will look you up if I'm anywhere near you, man.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to play a couple of your songs, Dave. We're going to play the song Hope off of your new album, and we're going to play Angel Heart. Is that okay?
Sure.
Hey, man, I do appreciate your time, Dave. And I know you're fixing to head out of town, heading to Dubai to do a concert out there. Man, best of luck, safe travels, brother, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks, Kenny. You are a true gentleman.
Thank you
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.